What you are looking at here is a very functional iPhone XS. It's my phone. It's been my phone for the last 3.5 years. It had a problem 2 days ago. I took it into an Apple store. When the Apple store said that my only real option was to buy a new phone, I decided to take matters into my own hands. If you want to hear the story, you want to find out how I diagnosed my problem myself and got someone to fix this for $95, stay tuned with me till the end. For now, let's get going. I was out running, my phone is where it always is, it was in a holster on my bicep, suddenly it just stopped working. It stopped working like this. You can see the problem I could see right now. Basically, it was stuck in a boot loop. It had turned itself off and was trying to boot up, and every time it goes through the booting cycle, one of the components of the phone has a problem. And so that component is fouling the booting process and keeping the phone from starting. This is a really common problem with iPhone Xs, XSs, 11s. I think everybody thinks these things are fully waterproof. They're not. They're water resistant. There's holes all through them, right? There have to be. You wouldn't hear when you had a phone call if there wasn't a hole by the speaker. You wouldn't be able to talk either. There's holes in your phone. And when moisture gets in there, sometimes bad things happen. Anyway, something bad happened to my phone, obviously. I looked through the internet, as you can imagine. There's a million very strange ideas as to how to solve this problem. Massage the front of the phone, hit the phone, put the phone in the freezer. There's all these kinds of ideas. I gotta tell you, I considered all of them. Now that I know what the problem was, none of those crazy ideas would have solved this problem. So I took the next most logical step. I took it into an Apple store. In fact, I took it into two. In both places, the Apple geniuses who looked at the phone gave it over to a technician so they could do a diagnostic on it. Both stores told me the same thing. Essentially, look, it's out of warranty. Getting it fixed through Apple is gonna cost so much, it's not even worth it. Don't even bother fixing this phone. Just buy a new one. They were very nice about it. And they explained they weren't on commission. They don't want to take my money. They just think I really should spend it. And it's not so much the money and the spending that bothers me. It's just that I believe if something could still work and you could fix it and you could still find use for it, you have an obligation to try. And I looked at my old phone and I thought to myself, look, you got a YouTube channel. You're always telling people taking stuff apart and fixing it is better than just throwing it in the landfill. If Apple isn't being very helpful, why don't you see if you can fix it? And so I went to the surplus store. I bought a $5 iPhone fixit kit. It had a suction cup. It had a bunch of pentalobe screwdrivers. It had a prying tool, and I opened up my phone. So how did I do that? The first thing I did was I grabbed the appropriate pentalobe screwdriver and I took out the 2 screws that are on either side of the lightning connector. That's step 1, and it's pretty easy. The screws are small. I didn't want to lose them. I put them in a place that I thought was safe. Next step, grab the suction cup, put it at the bottom of the screen. Make sure to push out all the extra air so that it's grabbing really well. I put my index finger through the loop and I just pulled gently on the suction cup. That pulled up the screen enough, just enough, that I could get my pry tool in there. It looks like a big guitar pick. And once it's in, you're kind of golden. You just slowly work your way around in a clockwise manner around the edge of the screen, being very careful not to break anything or snap anything or crack anything. And finally, my screen was off. I could open up the phone and take a look inside. I took off the little guard. There's 5 screws there. They're all different sizes. They're different pentalobe screwdrivers that are required for each one, but I got each one out. I put it off to the side. I kept them in order. Because they're all different lengths and different sizes, I would have to put them back in exactly the same order, so I was really careful there. So before you can pull out anything, you got to disconnect the battery from the main board. That was my first step. So pop the battery plug, this one right here, and then went right up to that earpiece assembly plug and popped that one out. Then reattached the battery and gave it a go. The phone booted, no problem, because the component that was fouling the boot was the earpiece. Of course it was. That's what happens to everybody. This is a really, really common problem. So now I had a fully functional phone. That gave me lots of options. The first thing I did was back it up. Because I hadn't been diligent about backing up the phone, I backed up everything. First thing right away. I just plugged in a lightning connector, connected it to my MacBook Pro, and did the backup. So now I'm safe. Like, all my data is safe. That's like a huge step right there. I could migrate to a new phone and just put all of my old data onto the new phone from here if that's what I wanted to do. But as you know, I really care about using stuff as long as it possibly can be. So I was determined to try to fix this. The problem is obviously in the earpiece assembly. When it's connected, the phone won't boot. When it's disconnected, the phone does boot. What's in that assembly? There's 3 parts that one little cable manages. And that's the earpiece, the part you put to your ear. Also, there's a proximity sensor sensor in there. That's the little sensor that tells the phone that your phone is up to your ear, and so it should turn off the screen. That's kind of important. And the final part of it is facial recognition. That's all in this one cable. So at this point, facial recognition doesn't work. You could see there's like a warning on the phone. Even though it boot up, it's like I can't use facial recognition. But if I wanted to get any of those features back, I would have to figure out how to fix this component. So there are other videos you'll find on YouTube where they do go over how to do this. Cell phone technicians are amazing. They love to make videos and help you out. I think there's some really great channels on this platform that you can learn a ton from. I certainly did. And basically some of them had luck just by blowing air at the piece, because sometimes the moisture that gets into this component stays there because it's sealed, right? So if moisture gets in there, it doesn't really have an option to evaporate quickly or easily. So I have seen people just blow air, hot air, cool air, whatever kind of air, and ultimately fix the problem, reconnect the earpiece assembly, and everything's cool. I tried that, it didn't work. I had read online in certain forums, some people had luck with isopropyl, just cleaning it, cleaning up any of the corrosion that can be caused when you get copper connections moist like that. Sometimes there's arcing and that kind of thing that can cause carbon, and that carbon buildup makes it so the connection isn't there. That was sort of beyond me. I'm passably good at soldering. I'm no good at micro soldering. I don't have a microscope here. I can't do stuff this small very accurately. It's just beyond me. So I thought, okay, next step, if I can't fix this particular earpiece assembly, I'm just gonna buy a new one. The problem with that, and this is something you should know, you can put in a new earpiece assembly. They're about a $20 part. It's really cheap. But once you do that, you won't get facial recognition back. It seems to be the one thing that a new component just won't allow. Anytime I wanted to unlock my phone, I'd have to use the code. But that was fine with me. Like if the phone was fully functional and I just couldn't point it at my face in order to open it up, that was fine. If Apple had offered me that solution, I would have taken it in a heartbeat and paid them for it. So I looked around to find a part. It was gonna be a couple of days. I really wanted to shoot this video for you so I could get it up and let you know what my experience was, but also I needed a phone. I had a lot of stuff to manage, and you can't manage it all with a laptop. I needed a phone. So I called up a local repair place. They had pretty good reviews online. I talked to them about the problem. They were really sympathetic. They say they see this problem twice a month. Bring it in, we got a part, we'll stick it in for you. Everything will be fine. You'll lose face recognition. But other than that, your phone will be fully functional. 95 bucks. That was sort of a no-brainer for me. So now as you can see, as you know, my phone is fine, except I don't have face recognition. But in the end, it didn't cost that much. It didn't take that much time or effort. And I bet I get another couple of years out of this phone. So I hope that helped you out. If it did, please feel free to like or subscribe. Liking and subscribing a channel like this really helps, and I would really, really appreciate it. If you've had an experience with Apple Care, the Genius Bar, getting something fixed at Apple, please leave those experiences down in the comment section below. I want to hear. I've been working with Apple products for 20 years. I know exactly your pain. Feel free to rage. That's what the comment section is for. And otherwise, thank you for listening. Take care, stay safe, have fun with your DIY projects, and I'll see you next Saturday.